Good morning, everyone. We're going to get our program underway in about 5 minutes, and you're not going to want to miss a minute. I urge you to fill up your coffee mugs and get ready to settle in for a truly inspiring hour that we have planned for our 20th President's Breakfast. We'll get things rolling in just a few minutes.
Welcome to the 20th Annual President's Breakfast. We like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we respectively gather virtually in the National Capital Region. It is traditionally unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Sarah and I are thrilled to be your co-chairs for this special anniversary of this virtual fundraiser for the Ottawa Hospital. We're also both on the Foundation's board, and we see firsthand the impact the hospital has caring for our community.
That's right, Jeff. We are so pleased to be here with you this morning, ushering in a new decade of philanthropy, and we're grateful so many of you have tuned in for this very special program. Here's a fast fact to start things off, Jeff. Did you know in the past 20 years, this breakfast has helped raise $13.2 million for patient care and research? That's a big number, and we can't wait to build on that this morning. It's the generosity of donors like you over the past 2 decades that have fueled incredible healthcare advances right here in Ottawa. There's the fluorescence-guided microscope for neurosurgery, which happens to be a Canadian first. The CyberKnife, which can destroy previously inoperable tumors, and the creation of the state-of-the-art Rose Ages Breast Health Center.
Research is another area supported by your donations over the past 2 decades. We've helped fund groundbreaking clinical trial to halt MS in its tracks. In fact, you'll hear a story about it later in the program. We launched a national research network for cancer immunotherapy and biotherapeutics, and we've helped fund the first clinical trial using stem cell therapy to repair the heart after a heart attack. And those are just a few examples of how your donations have made an impact in the past 20 years.
This morning's powerful program will include stories from patients as well as the dedicated team that cares for them, and an update from Cameron Love on the new civic development project. We hope you will be left inspired and wondering just how much we can accomplish together in the next 20 years. You know, another reason why Jeff and I are so proud to be here today is because we've both seen the compassionate and dedicated care at the Ottawa Hospital. In fact, my children were both born at the Ottawa Hospital. My father also received care at the Ottawa Hospital before undergoing a life-saving organ transplant in Toronto. And after my mother's diagnosis of acute myeloid leukemia in 2019, she spent almost 6 months as an inpatient receiving care. She was the recipient of a stem cell transplant, which was her only hope for survival. It was during this difficult time that I got to see firsthand the amazing things being done at the hospital. Everything from the groundbreaking research and clinical trials to the exceptional level of care she received from the doctors and nurses. While my mother's story didn't end as we had wished it had, I know that it is through the generosity of those of you tuning in today that patients like her right now and those in the future will have access to potentially life-saving treatments and cures.
Both of my parents were also cared for at the Ottawa Hospital, Sarah. My father was diagnosed with lung cancer. It was at the Ottawa Hospital where he received his care before passing approximately 2 months after. My mother is a cancer survivor who's received tremendous support from the staff at the Ottawa Hospital. And we know many of you joining us today have your own personal connection as well. We all want access to the best health care when we need it, and that's why this breakfast is so important. The longevity of this event and the generosity we've seen over the past 2 decades is remarkable. And as we celebrate 20 years of the President's Breakfast, we're going to catch up with some of the past guests and volunteers throughout the program in something we're calling, Where Are They Now? And I'm sure you'll see some familiar faces. So please, sit back and enjoy the program and think about all the possibilities with your generous support today.
I was asked to be a speaker in 2018 for the President's Breakfast because I was a former patient at the Ottawa Hospital as a result of a traumatic car accident. I had a craniotomy, a splenectomy, pelvis reconstruction. That's just some of the most major ones. There were so many complications, but everyone was really dedicated, everyone was really committed, everyone was really compassionate. Dr. Pagliarello had so much confidence when he was talking to me and to the medical team about everything that was happening, and I was comforted by his care. I became more stable. I learned to run again. I ran a couple of 5Ks, I ran a 10K. So I wanted to be a part of the President's Breakfast because I think it's crucial for the community to know that the Ottawa Hospital supports and continues to deliver outstanding care.
Good morning, and thank you to our co-chairs, Jeff Clark and Sarah Grand, for kicking things off this morning. I'm Cordial Care Mantang. I'm the department head for the critical care department at the Ottawa Hospital. I also host the Solving Healthcare podcast, and I got to tell you, I am ultra humbled to be here today. What a fantastic organization that we've really pulled through in such unprecedented times, and being on the front lines and seeing the efforts that we've made throughout this pandemic, not only in the frontline staff, but the researchers, the allied health professionals, the foundation, all have stepped up in such a crazy time and have done their part and done their duty to get us through this. So this is a truly humbling experience, and I really like to thank the foundation for asking me to do this. We have a powerful program to mark this special milestone breakfast. Your generosity over the years has been incredible. You will also hear some remarkable stories from patients who turned to our hospital in their time of need for specialized care in cancer, MS, and COVID. And you will hear from a group of young researchers who will one day take over the reins of investigations, unlocking answers, and ultimately finding cures for illnesses like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. By the time our program wraps up, I know you'll be starting to imagine just how far we could advance medicine in the next 20 years. How the impact your donations today will help to create a healthier tomorrow. You can click that donate button anytime during the program to support our team at the Ottawa Hospital. I want to let you know this portion of our program is sponsored by Hydro Ottawa. Your donations will be matched over the next few minutes. What a great opportunity. As you know, the past 18 months have been unlike anything we have ever experienced. The pandemic has challenged us all, but it also showed us how resilient we are. And I saw that through my work at the hospital, whether it was caring for COVID-19 patients, getting our community vaccinated as quickly as possible, or the great pivot our researchers made to learn more about this virus and how to stop it in its tracks. Our team at the Ottawa Hospital was relentless. From my perspective, the dedication that we saw at the bedside was incredible. Our team worked extra hours, extra days, extra weeks to be able to provide the care that was necessary for our patients. It was extremely moving, and it was an honor to be part of our team. Right now, though, I want to welcome someone well known in our community who has his own COVID-19 story to share with us today. Please welcome Jeff Hopper, the morning co-host at Pure Country 94. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Dr. K. I wouldn't have missed it. I really wanted to make sure that I was a part of this because we need to talk about the kind of miracles that are happening on a daily basis at the Ottawa Hospital.
Wow, no, we really appreciate this. So COVID-19 obviously hit us hard in the fall. What was your experience like in terms of symptoms or even your experience in the hospital?
Well, my first experience with COVID-19 was watching my father deal with it, and he eventually succumbed to the disease, and I just, the whole thing is quite a whirlwind, but some of the flash memories I have of that time are people getting gowned up, suited up to go into a full isolation area with him. And then eventually, once we knew that he wasn't going to make it, I had to do that whole thing. And, you know, upon reflection afterwards, just thinking about the staff who have to do that every 15 minutes, just that alone was something that I was just jaw-dropping to me. And then after my father passed away, only days later, I started with symptoms and they became severe enough that I ended up being admitted as well, just a couple of rooms down from him.
On behalf of all of us, I just want to say, really sorry to hear about your father.
Thank you.
What was it like as a patient in terms of
the care that you received at the Ottawa hospital?
Second to none is the only sentence that comes to mind. And I remember things because it's kind of hazy because you're depleted in oxygen and not thinking very well, and there's a lot going on in your body. I think we all know some of the symptoms that you get with COVID, but I remember an overwhelming positivity. And this is the thing that really strikes me, doctor, is because I know that I've seen too many faces too often in the nurses' staff. I know that these people shouldn't be turning around this quickly. I know they're picking up extra shifts, they're working extra hours, that every day they're going home and they're thinking about the risk that they're bringing home to their families. And to hear laughter and to have somebody come in and being, you're doing fine, you're gonna be all right, this positive, tough thing that I needed to hear, I cannot repay that. I don't have a way to adequately say thank you.
Wow, I must say, Jeff, it is great to hear that feedback, and I know it means a lot to not only myself, but to a lot of the staff out there that are hustling every day.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like over this amount of time now because that was just the fall. You're really into the third wave there, or a second wave maybe in fall.
Second wave, yeah.
And so that was sort of still felt a little bit like the beginning, and just to have these days and days and days, and now into 18 months of this, the shell shock feeling, I can't even imagine what the staff goes through. And I really hope that people donate a lot today, because that's the kind of thing that's going on there, and it cannot be overstated, the kind of everyday miracles that are happening.
Oh, it's just really great to hear, and I know it means a lot to all of us. How are you doing today? Like, it's been a few months since you were admitted into hospital, but like, how are you doing on a daily basis?
So that's the incredible part about the healthcare system that people might not think about on a daily basis. After I got out, my recovery wasn't over. I was just well enough to not be draining the hospital anymore. So it was incredible follow-up care from doctors directly from the hospital, calling me with a personal kind of touch to it too, where I was just blown away, and just saying, calling to see how you're doing, what are your symptoms, and then research follow-up calls. You think about all of the money that is going into and that we need in order to adequately follow a patient, follow up, see what's going on with them, and then also learn from each patient. I said yes to every single research call. I did whatever I could because I just want to make sure that we help the healthcare system. But to tell you the truth, everything has resolved by this point. I guess 8 months later, except for my sense of smell. It's starting to come back now in a weird way where things don't smell great. It'd be nice if the nice smells came back first, but
you were saying mint was
yeah, mint tastes it's just so weird because smell and taste are so combined. But yeah, this is a very long process, and I've been vaccinated twice since, and I feel like after the vaccinations, my smell started coming back a little bit. I don't know if they have anything to do with each other, but just watching this incredible infrastructure come up out of nowhere, right? Where we have no previous experience with a disease, and everyone takes care of me, then checks on me afterwards, then makes sure I'm vaccinated. I just think that we need to be celebrating a lot of the positives that we see every day, and we need to make sure that those positives keep happening.
Jeff, I love the message, like celebrating all the miraculous things that have happened in terms of rallying the troops when it comes to COVID. It means a lot to hear these words. For those that are listening and watching now, like, any final words in terms of why they should donate?
I certainly, especially when I look at Dr. K here, that you got to think about, I was in an isolated COVID ward. But if you take it to the next level, you're talking about intensive care where you work, and I'm not going to tell you about it, but obviously I have family who are in the healthcare industry, and they talk about co-opting nurses who don't have experience with this before suddenly working in ICU. It's a very different skill set. It takes time, which equals money, to train these people, to get them up to speed. There's just all of these small little things that we're not thinking about in terms of cost. I can't imagine the Ottawa Hospital ever needing your donation more than right now. This is a time in history that's unprecedented, and if we can afford to help, I think it's our duty and honor to do so. So that's why I would ask people to please give whatever you can today. Make it a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, that's how you know you've given enough. It should hurt a little bit. So if we could write a big check, or I guess e-transfer is the way we're doing it now. So just, it's easy. Just hit the button, and then you don't even know what happened. And then you go home and you feel amazing about yourself.
Unbelievable. Jeff, thank you for sharing your story. It means a lot to us. I know it meant a lot to those that are listening, and honestly, it's great to see you.
Thank you very much, Dr. K.
Thank you.
Jeff and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank some of the people that have made this morning possible. First, thank you to our volunteer ambassadors who brought hundreds of you together virtually this morning to share in this inspiring program.
We'd like to give a big shout out to our incredible group of corporate sponsors: Modern Niagara, Cattleman's Bagels, Eamon Harnan, Engel and Volkers, Hydro Ottawa, Meldrum Horn, Mann Lawyers, PCL, and Ellis Don Joint Venture.
What incredible support this year from our corporate sponsors. We'd also like to thank Inflector Environmental Services, Abbott Nutrition, CBI Health, Coughlin and Associates, Good Key Weedmark and Associates, Kelly Santini, Westboro Flooring and Decor, the Shaw Center, and Bell Media. It's corporate support from these generous sponsors that ensures your donations will go directly to the Ottawa Hospital. And we're thrilled that it's a record-breaking year for sponsorship. Thank you. As we celebrate long-standing support during this exciting 20th anniversary event, we want to say a very special thank you to our title sponsor, Doherty and Associates Investment Counsel. Ian Sterling and the team at Doherty and Associates have been supporting this event for 18 years now. We couldn't ask for a more committed partner. And now for a brief message from our friend Ian Sterling.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ian Sterling, President of Doherty and Associates. We're thrilled to be the title sponsor of the 20th President's Breakfast. This breakfast, in support of the Ottawa Hospital, is an important part of Doherty and Associates' philanthropic role in our community. Our company has been built on a foundation of caring people and a sound investment philosophy. We know that investing in the future of healthcare is vital for our families and for generations to come. That's why each year my team and I are pleased to return to support the Ottawa Hospital. This year marks 18 years as the title sponsor. It's a milestone that makes our team proud. From the inspirational patient stories to the updates we will hear from the care team, the researchers, and Cameron Love, we are reminded just how important our donations are to ensure we have the very best healthcare right here in our community. Before I wrap up, I'd like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to the entire frontline team at the Ottawa Hospital. You have worked tirelessly to help keep our community safe during the past 18 months. Your dedication will always be remembered. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the breakfast.
So the story begins for me March of 2000. This photo was taken in January of me in a competitive masters ski race. So January, I'm competitive ski racing. In March, I was skiing a tremblant, fell and broke my neck. I spent 2 months off work, but got put back together, came out the other side of it. So that's how I got originally involved in the President's Breakfast. Literally the year after, got back to competitive ski racing and all the other things I love to do. The last 20 years of having an active life and being put back in together is really a testament to the hospital's skills, professionalism, empathy, and quite frankly, the reassurance they gave to me and my family in a time of need. So I'm forever thankful to the Ottawa Hospital.
Wow, it's awesome to hear these inspiring stories from past breakfast speakers. Thank you for sharing. We have another incredible opportunity for you to donate. PCL Ellis Don joint venture will match your donation over the next few minutes of the program as we focus on research at our hospital. You know, I'm thrilled to be part of the incredible group of physicians and researchers at our hospital who continue to push the boundaries to provide our patients with better care. Our neuroscience team is a shining example of that. In fact, we're building one of the strongest neuroscience research programs in the world. You may recall back in 2016, our hospital made headlines globally with the world's first clinical trial for MS patients. It showed a stem cell transplant replacing the diseased immune system halted progression of MS in patients and even allowed them to get better. Today, that revolutionary treatment provides exceptional results for MS patients, in many cases giving them their lives back. I am pleased to welcome Lee Taylor, one of many patients who have since turned to the Ottawa Hospital for this life-changing care.
Lee, it is an absolute pleasure to be meeting you.
It's an honor to be here.
So tell us, what has been your journey navigating through MS?
My journey started actually earlier than I think that we originally expected it to. I had been dealing with health issues since I was young, and we actually think that it may have been juvenile multiple sclerosis, even though it's kind of hard to tell now. It actually got, I'm going to use the word intense. When I was about 20 to 21, I started to notice I was dragging my foot as I was walking through my workshop. And then I couldn't feel my fingers one day. And then slowly I started to get worse and I knew something was wrong. I would look at other contractors, other people within my trades that didn't take care of themselves, that didn't go to bed at 9 o'clock every night and try to get back to work. And I realized there's something wrong. There's something different. There's something scary that's not an easy thing to handle.
And, you know, you're from Kingston, and like, what brought you to the Ottawa Hospital?
I lived in Ottawa for 4 years, and it's always been my favorite city, but we ran out of options in Kingston. We didn't have a big enough program to get me into any kind of research trial or any drug trials, and we had run out of conventional drugs on the marketplace for multiple sclerosis. So I really didn't have much of an option except to go to a program like Ottawa, where they have a research department, they have a clinical investigations unit, they have access to trials. And then if they were able to get me into a drug trial, they allowed me 3 years to get healthier, to get my feet back under me, to get healthy enough to go through the bone marrow transplant and come out the other side with my feet under me, so to speak.
Oh, incredible. And you had your treatment at the Ottawa Hospital, and obviously in unprecedented time in October of 2020. So what was that like?
Terrifying at points. But you know, there was a sense of relief because all of a sudden people were wearing masks. I had no immune system. I was fresh into the world with the immune system of an infant. And any cold, any flu could get me sick. And all of a sudden people are taking care of me using mask hygiene, using COVID protocols. It made it a lot safer in some ways and a lot scarier in a lot of others. So I didn't get to see my family through a lot of the transplant because it wasn't safe to bring them to Ottawa to help out. So it was just my partner and my dogs and I, which, you know, when you're feeling as rough as you do through a stem cell transplant, sometimes not having an ocean of people around you is sort of easier.
That must have been so challenging, though, having to deal with this during a pandemic. What has the recovery been like?
Slow, up and down at a lot of points. I believe that I'm starting to get to my baseline before I went through the transplant, and that's That's heartening to hear. What I am noticing right now, though, and what's exciting to me, is I'm having less variability day to day for my symptoms. I am feeling like I felt a decade ago, most days. I'm doing stuff that I didn't think was an option for me anymore. About a decade ago, I realized I wasn't going to be who I thought I was, who I had worked for. I felt I was losing an innate part of myself, and I could see it leaving me day to day. And what I have now is hope. So I don't know how to say that in any more impactful way, but it's everything.
Lee, that's incredible. You know, it is about hope. And what did it mean to have that level of innovation and high level of care at the Ottawa Hospital?
I believe that I had a care team that was second to none. My hematologist was the man who actually figured out that a stem cell transplant could halt the progression of MS. I had a feisty Latina neurologist that would keep me in line like nobody else I know. And people that I am proud to call friends after a transplant. Between nurses, between even the cleaning staff, I had relationships with by the end of that. I wasn't alone during COVID in a transplant. A lot of people have asked me what it's like to just be there with my partner and my dogs, but I wasn't. I had a team of hundreds that I dealt with throughout this process. In the end, I was so fortunate to have the Ottawa Hospital and every one of their staff members, from their physicians to their nurses. It's a team that is second to none, and one that I will forever, forever be grateful for.
Wow, Lee, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for the kind words. It means a lot for us to hear your story.
That's very appreciated. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been quite the incredible experience.
Now, I want you to meet some of our young researchers who will be shaping the future of medicine.
So here in the lab, we do HIV cure research. So for my project in particular, we're looking at what's called an oncolytic virus. It's a cancer-killing virus, and we're trying to determine how this cancer-killing virus targets and kills HIV-infected cells.
So the research we do amongst our group is generally centered around oncolytic viruses. So onco meaning cancer and lytic meaning killing, so cancer killing viruses. And these are viruses that have either been weakened to become more safe in human beings, or maybe don't infect human beings very well, but they tend to infect cancer cells very, very well. So we're working to find ways to make them even better at killing different types of cancer.
So I do my research on cancer. Basically, what I do is to look at the main reason why some patients do not respond to chemo. My current work is based on ovarian cancer. So my work is to come up with some biomarkers that could help identify this patient at an early stage. And those who progress to the advanced stages find ways and means to re-educate their immune system to be able to enable the patient respond to some form of treatment that will be given to the patient.
So the main topic of my research is to study how the brain blood vessels contribute to autism spectrum disorders. So my research, the goal is really to unravel autism players that contributes to the disorder. So if we identify these players, it can lead to new therapeutic strategies to improve people's lives.
Most of my research is focused on clinical research, so within the clinical epidemiology program. Specifically in that, I do a lot of work with patient engagement, and that's where we would co-develop research projects with patient partners, so individuals with lived experience of a condition, in order to get their perspective throughout the development and conduct of clinical research. Patient engagement is newly emerging in research. It's a new concept, and it's been showing several benefits to how research is conducted and to how research findings are produced and disseminated to the public, mostly through making sure that the patient perspective is included at the beginning of the research project and kind of carried through the conduct so that the ultimate end user of the technology that's being developed is at the table throughout.
I got connected with the breakfast in the first place because I had suffered a hemorrhagic stroke while away at university. Once I was medically stable, I was flown to the Civic, where I was cared for while waiting for a rehab spot. Once I found a spot in rehab, I was there as a patient for 4 months. The reasons I continue to support the hospital are to keep research going and help ensure that there's the best care possible, the most cutting-edge technology, whatever is needed for patients to also have a positive experience like I did. When I first spoke at the breakfast, I was much less mobile and much less kind of back to my normal self, I would say. Not that I'm anywhere near that now, but I've definitely done a lot of rehab since then, and my social life has also improved. I finished my master's, I met the love of my life. We have 2 beautiful young children who are also born at the Civic, which I'm very grateful for.
As you can see, the future of research is in great hands. Now, we have a special delivery for some of my colleagues at the Civic campus. We want to say thank you to the generous folks at Modern Niagara and Kettleman's Bagels for helping to make this special breakfast drop-off happen this morning.
Hi, my name is Chris Hill, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Modern Niagara. With offices in 6 major urban centers, we contribute to the construction of the major infrastructure projects in this country. But most importantly, we're a values-based organization with deep roots in the communities where we work, where we live, where we play, and where we heal. And this is probably no more so important than here in Ottawa, where we are both headquartered and we have some of the deepest roots. And we're so very proud to be part of the President's Breakfast this year, as we have for a number of years, in particular given the 20th year anniversary. And this food delivery is but a small way for us to express our appreciation for the staff who have worked so tirelessly over these last many months, and indeed many months. You'll never know when you're going to need the Ottawa Hospital, and if I can share just a brief personal story, I was here about a month ago with my mother. She was having heart issues, and now she's fine, thankfully. But what I was overwhelmed with was the quality of the care that we received while we were here, up to and including the time of her discharge at about 2 a.m. We were met with professionalism, passion, and compassion. And that's noteworthy in and of itself. But when you look at that within the context of the last 17 months and the extent to which healthcare workers have had to give up themselves, sacrifice their lifestyles and the lifestyles of their family, it's nothing short of inspirational. We're very, very lucky to have this institution in our community, and this is but a small way for Modern Niagara and for the community to give back and say thank you. So thank you.
I just want to say a big thank you for the Breakfast of the President to have chose trauma NICU, so D2E2 at the Civic Hospital, for us to be chosen as part of the breakfast to be recognized. Thank you, Kettleman's Bagels. Thank you for everybody. I'm sure my unit really appreciated this gesture, and we will truly remember it. Thank you so much.
So I just want to say a huge shout out there to the community. We're grateful for all of the things and treats that we receive. Particular shout out to Kettleman's. It's a great favourite, a lot of us here. The nursing staff up on the ward and the paramedical staff that work alongside them are always grateful for this support.
Hi there, I'm Daniel Reyes-Coca and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for Kettleman's Bagel. We're here today because it's important for us to continue to give back, and it's a great opportunity to allow frontline workers a chance to feel special and loved and appreciated the way that we know that they should. Kettleman's Bagel is proud to be supporting the Ottawa Hospital and providing breakfast, and we hope that everybody enjoys a very amazing breakfast this morning.
The Ottawa Hospital has become a little bit of a home away from home in every kind of good sense of the term. I was a patient at the Ottawa Hospital, an inpatient for almost 2 years, because in December 2009 I was injured while working in Kandahar, Afghanistan. Unfortunately, while we were outside the wire, our light armored vehicle was hit by an improvised explosive device buried in the sand. I was fortunate to be one of the survivors. I think around the time of the first President's Breakfast I participated in, I was in the process of transitioning to becoming an outpatient. There is nothing that I have wanted to accomplish that I have been unable to as a result of my injuries. Thanks to the support of the Ottawa Hospital and my family.
All right, it's great to see our donation total continue to climb. I know the more stories you see, the more you'll want to give back. Philanthropy is what makes our community so special. Coming up, we're getting set to go one-on-one with my boss, Cameron Love. But first, I want to let you know our friends at Eamon Harden are set to match your donations. So while I'm talking to my boss, you could double your donation. Now, I'd like to welcome Cameron Love, the president and the CEO of the Ottawa Hospital. Cameron, great to see you.
Good to see you as well, Quadro. Great to be here.
So Cameron, this pandemic has taught us so many things. At a personal level, what have you learned from this pandemic?
Yeah, it's a great question, Quadro, and I think it's one that's captivated a lot of attention and discussion over the last year. If you think over the course of the last century, we haven't had a healthcare crisis since the Spanish flu of this order of magnitude that's had this type of global impact. And I think the one thing that is a common thread within all pandemics is they all end. And so over the last year, while we've had some tremendous challenges, there have been a lot of learnings that we can now start to capitalize on in terms of how we advance and improve our healthcare system moving forward. And I think at the highest level, one of the most important notable things is if people didn't understand the importance of healthcare in a community pre-pandemic, they definitely understand it now. And there's nothing more important than the health of a population or the health of our individual, of our kids, because outside of that, I'm not so sure much matters. And so if you look at any great city across this country or North America, the planet, healthcare is a cornerstone to that great city. And so we have a huge opportunity to take what we've got today and build on it. So at a high level, I think that's a real takeaway. And it speaks to just engagement within our community and the importance of healthcare. But when you break it down into things that we have really learned that are going to help us advance, I kind of wrap that into three key things. I think the first one is healthcare traditionally, probably across the planet, definitely within Ontario and within Canada, has been very siloed. We've got lots of hospitals, we've got lots of great community organizations, we've got long-term care centers, but they're not necessarily integrated. They're quite siloed. And so when you're in an institution, the care is great. Moving between institutions starts to create gaps in service. And you as an intensivist would see this all the time. I think what we've learned through the pandemic is just to get through it, all those silo walls dropped. We talked about regional programs. How are we going to provide access to surgery? Not within one hospital, but within 17. ICU for COVID patients. How do we move ICU patients that have COVID? Not within the Ottawa Hospital, but how do we create an access point for them? Testing, vaccines, access to long-term care. Everything became a discussion around how do we manage health for a population, not just within an organization. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings that we have to continue to proceed with, because it does improve quality and it does improve the outcomes of healthcare. for patients and families. The second one that I think is absolutely critical, and it's been a foundation for us for years, is the importance of research and innovation. The simplest example of this, if we didn't have research, we wouldn't have a vaccine. And so when you think about what we've done in 18 months to innovate around healthcare, what we've done with 3D printing, what we've done with testing devices, how we've advanced using various IT technology or artificial intelligence, it has kind of exploded out of 18 months to manage the pandemic, but the infrastructure and the drive is there to expand research and innovation, which are the two drivers to advance healthcare in our system. So it's core to what we have to keep moving on. And then I think the third piece, which is absolutely critical, is while we can advance quality, while we can advance research and innovation, patient experience and compassionate care, when people are at their most vulnerable state, which we have seen in spades through the pandemic, is something that has taught us the importance of being compassionate as healthcare organizations and providers and what it means to patients and families. And it's been core for the Ottawa Hospital, but when you look through this pandemic of some of the real successes, a lot of it is just that caring and compassionate attitude that we just have to continue on into the future.
Well put, Cameron. I must say, you alluded to it, but post-pandemic, do you have a vision of the future?
So, great question. So let's picture you and I 20 years from now. I'm going to go with that we're about the same age, partly because it's good for the example and partly because it makes me feel better. But if we look 20 years out and we're standing here doing this other interview, I think what we can be very, very proud of is we have built world-class infrastructure. And all those approvals are in place and we're now into an implementation phase. The population of Ottawa it's not if it's going to grow. There's some reports and stats out there that 30 years from now it could double. So the demand and the pressure on healthcare is just going to grow. The need for us to build those facilities and be able to stand here 20 years from now with the Civic opened, we've got a brand new cardiac center that's planned for the future, 1,000 new long-term care beds, expansion of cancer, that is a key enabler, and we are very much on the track. So standing 20 years from now, we got world-class infrastructure. If we move from talking about healthcare being delivered by organization versus being delivered by population, much like you experienced through the pandemic, where as an intensivist, we're not talking about ICU beds at the Ottawa Hospital, we're talking about access to critical care beds as a region for anybody that requires them in a seamless fashion. If we do that for mental health, if we do that for critical care, surgery, maternal newborn, cancer patients, now we've created a system that removes the risk of transfers between organizations and wraps holistic care around a patient and a family. That I absolutely see in place. I think it's where the government is moving. I think it's where many great countries and regional health systems have moved towards. And there's lots of literature and data out there that is the best way in terms of improving access to care. So now we've got an integrated health system, one seamless electronic platform, without question. And I think, as I said, we're going to have 10 to 17 hospitals on it by the end of next year. Family health teams, long-term care. If you look over a 20-year period, we should absolutely be on one integrated healthcare system. You go into private sector, choose any private sector company, they don't run 35 systems. They run one, and there's a reason for it. The risk of healthcare of not having that and how we're advancing, we need to move to one platform and one system. And then I think finally, if we're doubling in size, we have one of the things we're really fortunate of in Ottawa, we have great healthcare leaders and we have great physicians and we have great nurses and support staff. We need to continue to create the infrastructure and the capability to be a magnet community to recruit from all across the globe so that we expand our base, we expand research, we expand innovation, and most importantly, we continue to provide access to healthcare in this region. And so when you take those four things and you talk about what the future looks like when you and I are walking around the campus 20 years from now, that is what I envision as what we're going to see. And if you take today, if you look, I think it was 2 months ago or 3 months ago, Quadro, there was an article out in Newsweek, best smart hospitals on the planet, top 250. There was only 2 in Ontario, us in UHN, and there was 3 in Canada that broke the top 75. And we haven't even done what I'm talking about. So when we're sitting here 20 years from now, what we want to be able to say is when people talk about great healthcare systems across the planet, they're going to say Mayo, they're going to say Cleveland, they're going to say Johns Hopkins, and they're going to say the Ottawa Hospital. And I really think we're going to be in that top 10.
Cameron, hearing that, it's certainly hard not to be excited about the future of our hospital. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for all that you're doing for us in the community. It truly means a lot.
Oh, thank you, Quado. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Steps. Very good, Sophie.
Every day, patients arrive at our doors facing an uncertain future. And every day, our work gives them hope for a healthier tomorrow. Join us as we transform the future of healthcare. Join us as we create a better tomorrow.
I've been a table captain at the breakfast for approximately 12 years. In the beginning, it was just because it's our hospital. It's a vital part of the city, and I was doing it for that purpose. And I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer a year ago. So I'm a real frequent person, which prior to my diagnosis a year ago, I had never had to access medical help. The latest treatment, which I started 7 weeks ago, is the best I have felt since my cancer diagnosis just over 14 months ago. To me, the Ottawa Hospital means we have in our community a place where people with the most serious illnesses, besides minor things as well, get treated with world-class care, but done in a professional and compassionate way. That's what it means to me. And I used to hear the terms that said that. Now I actually am the recipient of that.
I hope your coffee's topped up because you're not going to want to miss the incredible story coming up next. The Ottawa Hospital Cancer Centre provides care for patients across Eastern Ontario as well as Nunavut. Our services focus on prevention and screening, assessment and diagnosis, managing treatment, as well as support and follow-up. We are world leaders in cancer research. From our unmatched expertise in oncolytic viruses to groundbreaking immunotherapy to revolutionizing clinical trial processes, we have earned an international reputation for changing what the world knows about cancer and how we treat our patients. It's clinical trials that offer new hope to patients. Patients like Gina Martikis, who is joining me now. Great to see you, Gina.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
I want to start our conversation by letting everyone know this portion of our program is sponsored by Meldrin Horn. All donations made during this portion will be matched. Gina, it is absolutely great to see you.
You too.
So it's been a while, so tell us, what has life been since the diagnosis?
Yeah, so I was 34 years old in 2017, and I had an unusual feeling in one of my breasts. And I went to the doctor. The doctor told me it was nothing. They said it was probably from breastfeeding. Don't worry about it. So I left very happy that day that there was nothing wrong with me. A few months later, the symptoms persisted. So I went to another doctor who, in the end, long story short, diagnosed me with breast cancer at the age of 34. I have no family history. I have no trace of cancer in my family whatsoever, and I was so young. My risk factor was very low. So in 2017, I was diagnosed, and I had 3 young children at home, my youngest being 1.5. So that was quite a challenge, having to deal with them. But from the moment I got my diagnosis, I was in Toronto, and that night, I ended up going to a Raptors game. I was like, this is not gonna dictate my life. I'm gonna fight it, I'm gonna live through it, and I'm gonna take my kids to that Raptors game. That's exactly what I did.
That is unbelievable, Gina. And first of all, just obviously really sorry that you've had to go through this with you and your family. And what was it like formulating a treatment plan with 3 young kids at home?
Well, to be honest, having the 3 young kids at home kind of took your mind off the fear. But that being said, it was still a lengthy process. As soon as I got into the Ottawa hospital, I met with Dr. Clemens, who right away put me at ease. He walked in the room, he made us laugh, and we almost forgot why I was there. So he really brightened up the room. And as soon as he saw me, we came up with a treatment plan that consisted of 6 months of chemotherapy, radiation therapy, a mastectomy, another mastectomy, a hysterectomy. So I've had many treatments in the past 4 years.
Oh my goodness, wow. First of all, Dr. Clemens, amazing.
Amazing.
And he is doing some incredible research in terms of, his work in cancer. What motivated you to get involved in research?
So Dr. Clemens was so instrumental in my path to, health again. And as soon as I finished my last treatment, I said to him, Dr. Clemens, how can I help you? What can I do for the Ottawa Hospital that has given me so much to be thankful for right now? 3 young kids, I get to be around for them. The treatment is world class. And he said to me, Gina, we're trying to create these clinical trials, and they need funding. And at this point, REACT was fairly new. So I said, done. I will do what I can, and I'm going to start fundraising. So from that moment on, I tried to, my brain was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And my mom, she's an artist. She's a well-known Canadian artist. And I was like, what if I come up with a calendar and just sell it, thinking I'd make, $1,000 to donate. And over the past 4 years, it's been $35,000 that I've been able to give back by selling a calendar every year.
Unbelievable,
It's
Gina.
been amazing. I've been very, very happy.
Unbelievable. And what was that drive? Like, what pushed you to do the fundraising, to do the calendar setup?
People always, something happens to them and then they think, oh, now I can donate, now I can give back. I've always donated in my life to hospitals, various charities. And then when this happens to you, you get such a sense of being grateful that you need to do more. There was no possible way I could go on my life without supporting the Ottawa Hospital any further. So the drive was to continue the research for the future. I have 2 girls. I need hope for the future. I need more trials to come. I need more global world care treatment that's going to come from all of this money that we all are hoping to donate.
Unbelievable. And it's just great to hear such positivity coming from such a horrible experience.
Yeah.
What is it like to know that the Ottawa Hospital is part of your community?
I am beyond grateful to have the Ottawa Hospital in my community. I walked into that office on the first day not knowing anything of what was about to transpire. I mean, scared, obviously, shocked, because this diagnosis came so quickly and out of the blue, completely out of the blue. So walking into the hospital, I had no idea what to expect. And the care that I was given, from Dr. Clemens to the nurses, to the chemotherapy team, to the radiation team, to every single doctor along the way, was just phenomenal. And this is why I'm so grateful to give back to such an incredible place. We are lucky to have world-class care in our backyard. That's exactly it.
Gina, I don't know if that could be expressed in any better way.
Yeah.
It is an absolute pleasure to see you, and I'm glad you are doing so well.
Thank you.
Please give love to the family.
Will, thank you so much.
Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to send things over to Jeff Clark and Sarah Grand.
What an incredible story, Gina. I'm so happy you are doing well. I know that's not always the case, which is why the need for support for our hospital is so vital, to help save more patients and keep more families together like Gina's. We hope the stories you've heard this morning have inspired you to support the Ottawa Hospital. As we get set to wrap up this incredible program, I wanted to let you know that Inflector Environmental Services will match any donation between now and the end of the show. Let's push the total even higher right now.
Wow, that's incredible, Jeff. What a wonderful way to wind down our morning. Giving through opportunities like the President's Breakfast helps ensure that critical care will be there for everyone when they need it. So as you consider your donation, I want you to think back to Lee's story and how he got his life back thanks to a world-first clinical trial that started right here at the Ottawa Hospital with doctors Harry Atkins and Mark Friedman. It was philanthropy that helped to make it possible and to bring new hope to MS patients.
It's the donations we will all make today that will allow the Ottawa Hospital to be at the forefront when it comes to providing care for the most complex cases. The generosity of our community also allowed the Ottawa Hospital to be ready and innovate when COVID-19 hit our city, from caring for the patients to the critical research that continues. I know the pandemic has been a difficult time for many, but I also know many of your businesses have continued to thrive over the past year. We urge you to make a meaningful gift today. Perhaps you'd consider joining Sarah and I as part of the President's Council of the Ottawa Hospital. This means a donation of $1,000 or more per year. A 5-year commitment would have an even greater impact and would allow the hospital to plan further ahead thanks to your generosity. To make your donation, it's so easy. Simply hit the donate button now. You can make a one-time donation or you can choose a convenient monthly or annual donation.
Let's see how we can build on the $13.2 million raised over the past 19 years. Jeff and I are confident that together we can break through the $14 million mark this morning. Perhaps you'd consider an extra special gift this year to celebrate 20 years of the President's Breakfast, remembering the staff who have been dedicated to keeping our communities safe during the pandemic. On behalf of Jeff and I and our team of volunteer ambassadors, we thank you all for your exceptional support once again this year.
Wow, what an inspiring morning. Hearing from our patients, hearing from our frontline staff, hearing from our researchers, and seeing all the effort that's being put in to provide world-class, compassionate, amazing care, it's hard not to feel that pride. I want to say thank you to all our special guests for this morning to mark 20 years of the President's Breakfast. It's truly remarkable what we've accomplished in the past 2 decades. I can only imagine the possibilities for our hospital with your donations today. I hope you've all been inspired by the stories you've heard and moved by the amazing, dedicated team we have at our hospital. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank you for the support for our hospital, and have a great morning.
you.